Day 7. The power of consistency, daily motivation, and affirmation for success, discipline, and growth. Have you ever wondered why some people keep moving forward while others quit halfway? The truth is, success rarely comes from talent or luck. It comes from one hidden force: consistency. But here's the catch. Most people will never master it, and that's why they'll stay stuck where they are. If you're watching this, you're already ahead of them. But don't stop now, because what you'll discover in this video might just be the difference between repeating your past or rewriting your future. Stay till the end, because missing even one part could cost you the results you've been chasing. Part 1. Consistency is a secret ingredient that turns small daily actions into life-changing results. When you think about the greatest achievements in life, whether it's building a successful business, mastering a skill, improving health, or creating deep relationships, none of them happen overnight. They are the result of showing up again and again with commitment. Consistency is what transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Imagine planting a seed. If you water it once, nothing happens. If you water it sporadically, it may sprout but never grow strong. But if you water it every single day, even just a little, eventually it becomes a tree. That's the hidden magic of consistency. The challenge is, our minds are wired for instant gratification. We want results now. We want visible change immediately. But real growth doesn't work that way. Think of learning a language. For example, 1 hour of study might feel like progress, but if you stop after a week, the knowledge fades. Yet if you commit just 15 minutes daily for a year, you'll achieve fluency. The daily action seems small, almost insignificant in the moment, but over time, it compounds into something life-changing. This is the invisible power of consistency. It works quietly in the background, stacking results when you're not even noticing. Consistency is also a form of self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even in something small, you build confidence that you can rely on your own word. If you say you'll exercise 3 times a week and actually do it, you're not just training your body, you're training your mind to trust your own discipline. That inner trust creates momentum, because when you believe in yourself, you stop negotiating with excuses. And once you stop negotiating, success becomes inevitable. But here's the hard truth. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they quit too soon. They underestimate the power of repetition. They expect perfection instead of persistence. They think missing one day ruins everything, so they give up. The truth is, consistency is not about perfection. It's about showing up more often than not. Even if you stumble, even if you fall behind, returning to your commitment is what counts. A single misstep won't destroy your journey, but quitting altogether will. Think about athletes. No champion became great from one intense workout. It's the years of training, the daily practice, the constant refining that builds mastery. A writer doesn't craft a best-selling book in one sitting. They write a little every day, even on the days when they don't feel inspired. And that's another secret. Consistency doesn't require motivation every time. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. Consistency is stronger because it builds discipline. You may not feel like doing the work every day, but by showing up anyway, you create a rhythm that carries you forward even when motivation fades. Consider this. 1% better every day may not seem like much, but compounded over a year, that's a transformation. Small daily improvements stack up into something extraordinary. The same applies to bad habits. Skipping small commitments doesn't hurt immediately, but repeated over time, the damage grows. That's why being consistent with positive actions is so powerful. It ensures your life compounds in the right direction. Let's make it personal. Think of an area in your life you've always wanted to improve. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's finances. Maybe it's your relationships. Ask yourself honestly, have you been consistent, or have you been waiting for the perfect moment to start? The truth is, perfection is an illusion. The perfect moment never comes. Progress begins with consistent action, no matter how small. Even committing to 5 minutes of effort daily can shift your mindset from procrastination to momentum. Consistency also shapes identity. Every action you repeat reinforces who you believe yourself to be. If you consistently study, you start to see yourself as a learner. If you consistently exercise, you begin to see yourself as someone who values health. If you consistently create, you embody the identity of a creator. And once identity takes root, actions become automatic. You no longer force yourself. You simply live out who you believe you are. This is why habits matter. They shape your future by shaping your sense of self. Of course, consistency requires patience. That's where most people struggle. They mistake slowness for failure. But think of nature. A tree doesn't grow overnight, yet its steady growth makes it unshakable. The same is true for your goals. If you rush, you burn out. If you remain steady, you endure. And endurance is the real key to long-term success. There's also a psychological effect here. Consistency creates familiarity, and familiarity creates comfort. When you repeat an action often enough, your brain stops resisting it. It becomes natural, automatic. That's why brushing your teeth doesn't feel like a struggle. You've done it so many times. It's ingrained. Imagine if you could make your positive habits feel as natural as brushing your teeth. That's the power of showing up daily. But let's be clear, consistency isn't glamorous. It's not about huge wins every day. It's often boring. It's repetition. It's doing the work when no one is watching. It's choosing discipline over distraction, long-term vision over short-term pleasure. And yet, in that quiet space of discipline, greatness is built. Because while others chase quick results, you're building something lasting. So, here's the truth you need to hold on to. Success is not about intensity. It's about consistency. Anyone can push hard for a day. Few can show up day after day, week after week, year after year. But those few are the ones who rise above the rest. They are not necessarily smarter, faster, or more talented. They are simply consistent. And that, more than anything, is why they succeed. Part 2. Even the tiniest step forward, when repeated, creates unstoppable momentum. Momentum is like a hidden force that grows stronger with each repeated action. At first, progress feels invisible. You do the work, but you don't see results. That's why so many people quit early. They mistake silence for failure. But momentum builds quietly, like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, almost fragile, but every push makes it bigger, heavier, and more unstoppable. The same principle applies to your life. Even the tiniest daily step, when repeated, creates a ripple effect that expands far beyond what you can see in the moment. Think about a train starting from rest. In the beginning, it moves painfully slow, grinding against resistance. But as it continues, its speed multiplies until nothing can stop it. Your actions work the same way. Reading just 2 pages a day may not make you wise. Writing a paragraph may not make you an author. Saving a single dollar won't make you rich. But repeated daily, these small steps accumulate, and suddenly you've built momentum so powerful that quitting feels harder than continuing. What's fascinating is how momentum shifts identity. Once you've shown up several days in a row, you start to see yourself differently. You no longer say, "I want to be a writer." You say, "I am writing." You stop saying, "I'm trying to get healthy." Instead, "I live a healthy lifestyle." This subtle shift happens because momentum doesn't just move your actions, it moves your belief about who you are. And when belief changes, your behavior naturally follows. Here's a psychological trick. Your brain loves completion. When you do something consistently, your mind starts craving the continuation of that streak. Missing one day feels like breaking a chain, and humans are wired to avoid breaking patterns. That's why momentum works like fuel. You don't want to lose it once you've built it. This is how athletes keep training, how creators keep producing, how successful people keep rising. They protect their momentum at all costs. But the danger lies in underestimating the small steps. We often dismiss them because they don't feel big enough. We tell ourselves, one workout won't matter, or one page won't change my life. And technically, we're right. On their own, they won't. But compounded over weeks, months, and years, those tiny steps create transformation so massive, they look impossible from the outside. That's why momentum feels magical. It magnifies small actions into enormous results. Momentum also has a contagious effect. Once you gain it in one area of life, it often spills into others. For example, staying consistent with exercise often sparks better eating habits. Writing consistently can improve your confidence to speak and share ideas. Saving money consistently can lead to more disciplined time management. Momentum in one direction breeds momentum in others, Because discipline is transferable. Once you learn how to be consistent in one habit, your brain starts applying that same energy elsewhere. But here's a truth few people admit. Momentum doesn't wait for you. It only rewards those who start. The hardest step is always the first. Once you take it, each following step becomes slightly easier until momentum carries you forward almost effortlessly. That's why starting is the scariest part, but continuing is where the magic happens. So remember this. No step is too small, as long as it's consistent. Every time you move forward, even if it feels insignificant, you are building momentum that will one day carry you into a future so much greater than your present. Don't underestimate the little steps. They are the bricks that build empires. Part 3. Success isn't built in a single day. It's built by showing up every day. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Everywhere you look, people are chasing shortcuts, quick fixes, and instant success. But the truth is, real success doesn't arrive overnight. It's the product of countless days of showing up, even when no one is watching, even when the results aren't immediate. Success is built in the quiet hours, in the repetition of ordinary actions that compound into extraordinary outcomes. One day of effort won't change your life, but 1,000 days of persistence will. Think about the stories you admire. Every athlete who wins gold at the Olympics trained for years before stepping into the spotlight. Every entrepreneur who seems to suddenly succeed spent countless days grinding behind the scenes, often with little recognition. Even artists who become legends didn't create one masterpiece overnight. They spent years practicing, failing, improving, and showing up every single day. What you see as a breakthrough is actually the final product of relentless consistency. The danger is that most people focus only on the highlight moments. They see the reward but not the routine. They crave the outcome but reject the process. And because of that, they give up too soon. They think that if success doesn't arrive quickly, it will never come. But success laughs at impatience. It hides itself from those who seek shortcuts and reveals itself only to those who stay. Here's the truth. Showing up every day is not about intensity. It's about commitment. Some days you'll be inspired, some days you'll be exhausted, and some days you'll feel like quitting. But success doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be present. Even when your effort is small, even when you don't perform at your best, the very act of showing up keeps your momentum alive. It keeps you connected to your vision. It reminds your mind and body that this is who you are now. Showing up every day is also a way of proving your seriousness to yourself. When you commit daily, you send a signal to your subconscious that your goal truly matters. You're no longer dabbling or experimenting. You're investing your life into it. And once your subconscious accepts the truth, it aligns your thoughts, energy, and focus to support that path. You no longer waste time debating whether to do the work. It simply becomes part of who you are. Think of a builder laying bricks. One brick looks like nothing. 10 bricks still don't resemble a house. But lay a brick every single day, and one day you'll step back and see walls, a roof, a home. That home wasn't built in a single day. It was built by showing up daily, laying one brick at a time. The same is true of your dreams. They are constructed through daily effort, piece by piece, until the vision that once existed only in your imagination becomes something you can touch, live in, and share with others. But here's the catch. Showing up every day is boring. It feels repetitive. It doesn't give you fireworks or applause. That's why so many people fail. Not because they can't do the work, but because they can't tolerate the silence of daily effort without instant rewards. They confuse boredom with failure. But boredom is actually a signal that you're on the right path. Because greatness isn't glamorous. It's a result of discipline repeated quietly in the background of life. And here's where dark psychology comes in. Most people will never do this. They will give up when it gets quiet, when no one is clapping, when results are invisible. That means the moment you decide to keep showing up, you separate yourself from the majority. You move into the small group of people who refuse to quit, who stay in the game long enough to win. Success doesn't always go to the most talented. It goes to the ones who stayed when everyone else left. Every day you show up, you're planting seeds. Some won't sprout right away. Some may take months or even years. But one day, you'll walk into a garden of results so abundant, others will think it happened overnight. They'll call you lucky, not realizing luck was simply your consistency, multiplied over time. So never underestimate the power of showing up today. You don't need to change everything in one day. You don't need to transform overnight. You just need to be here, now, doing the work, building the habit, honoring the process. Because success isn't built in a single day, but it is built by what you choose to do every single day. Part 4. Discipline may feel hard in the moment, but consistency makes it easier over time. Discipline is often seen as a burden, something heavy, restrictive, even painful. And it's true, in the beginning, discipline feels hard. Waking up early when your body craves sleep, exercising when you'd rather rest, choosing to work when distractions scream for your attention. These choices are uncomfortable. But here's the paradox. The more consistent you are, the easier discipline becomes. What once felt like a sacrifice begins to feel like second nature. What once felt like punishment turns into freedom. Why does this happen? Because the brain adapts to repetition. When you do something consistently, your brain rewires itself to expect and accept that behavior. At first, discipline feels like swimming against the current of your own habits. But each day you repeat the action, you weaken the resistance. Eventually, the current changes direction. Discipline no longer feels like a fight. It feels like flow. What once required willpower now requires almost none, because it is transformed into habit. Think of learning to drive. In the beginning, every action feels stressful. Remembering the pedals, checking mirrors, controlling the wheel. It requires full attention, and it's exhausting. But after enough practice, you can drive without even thinking. The same transformation happens with discipline. The hard beginning eventually gives way to ease, but only if you are consistent enough to pass through the initial resistance. Most people quit too soon, never realizing they were only a few repetitions away from freedom. Here's another truth. Discipline is not about punishment. It's about alignment. It's not about restricting yourself. It's about choosing actions that align with your higher goals. Yes, it may feel uncomfortable in the short term, but it's serving your future self. Skipping a workout feels easy now, but it punishes your health later. Saving money feels difficult now, but it secures your financial freedom later. Discipline flips the script. It trades short-term ease for long-term ease. Without discipline, you choose the reverse, short-term comfort followed by long-term struggle. Consistency plays the role of easing this trade-off. The first few times you exercise, it's painful. But after weeks of consistent effort, your body grows stronger, and the same workout that once drained you now energizes you. The first attempt at writing may feel forced and awkward, but with consistency, your thoughts flow smoothly onto the page. At first, discipline feels like carrying a heavy weight, but with each repetition, you grow stronger, and the weight that once felt unbearable now feels light. There's also a psychological shift that happens. In the beginning, discipline feels like denial. You're saying no to distractions, temptations, and comfort. But over time, discipline begins to feel like empowerment. Each time you follow through, you're proving to yourself that you are in control of your life. That sense of control builds confidence. You stop seeing discipline as a cage and start seeing it as a key that unlocks freedom from bad habits, wasted time, and regret. Consistency magnifies this transformation. The more you practice discipline daily, the more automatic it becomes. Soon, the things you once forced yourself to do become your default mode of living. Waking up early, staying focused, eating clean, training your body. These actions shift from being struggles to being part of your identity. You no longer drag yourself into discipline. You carry it effortlessly because it has become who you are. And here's the dark truth most people avoid. Those who fail to develop discipline will always remain prisoners of their impulses. They will always be at the mercy of comfort, temptation, and distraction. That's why so many never achieve their goals. They want the results of discipline without paying the price of it. But if you can endure the early discomfort, consistency will eventually turn that price into a privilege. What others call suffering, you will call strength. The real magic is that once discipline becomes habit, it actually creates more freedom in your life. People think freedom means doing whatever you want. But real freedom is the ability to choose what truly serves you. Without discipline, you're not free. You're trapped by cravings, laziness, and external control. With discipline, you're free to build a life you want because you have control over your actions. And the consistency of discipline guarantees that the life you're building is sustainable, not temporary. So yes, Discipline may feel hard in the moment. It may feel like sacrifice, struggle, even suffering. But every day you remain consistent, it gets easier. Every repetition weakens resistance. Every act of discipline strengthens your willpower. Eventually, what once felt like pain begins to feel like power. And that power will carry you into a life most people only dream about. Part 5. Your daily habits shape your destiny. Stay consistent, and greatness will follow. Every choice you make, every action you repeat, every habit you nurture, these are not random moments. They are bricks, carefully laid, building the path to your future. Habits are the architect of destiny. The life you live today is a direct result of the habits you practiced yesterday. And the life you will live tomorrow depends entirely on the habits you choose today. That's why consistency matters so much. Because it transforms habits from isolated actions into unstoppable forces that shape the course of your entire existence. Think about it. Greatness isn't the result of a single massive leap. It's the outcome of countless small steps, repeated daily. The people you admire didn't suddenly wake up successful. They built daily habits that carried them toward success. A musician practices daily, and years later, they inspire millions. A leader reads and learns daily, and eventually, they guide nations. A person who chooses kindness consistently shapes a legacy of love and respect. These aren't accidents. They are the fruit of daily habits. The danger is underestimating the quiet power habits. Skipping one day feels harmless, but repeated over time, that neglect compounds into failure. Likewise, one positive action feels insignificant, but repeated daily, it compounds into greatness. That's why habits matter more than goals. Goals are destinations, but habits are vehicles. You can dream of success all you want, but unless your daily habits are aligned with that dream, you will never arrive. Here's a powerful truth. Habits are destiny in disguise. If you want to know your future, look at your present routines. Are you feeding your mind with growth or distractions? Are you fueling your body with energy or neglect? Are you building discipline or surrendering to comfort? Your habits answer these questions more honestly than your intentions ever will. Because intentions speak a desire, but habits reveal commitment. And here's the beauty of consistency. The longer you stick with positive habits, the more automatic they become. At first, it takes effort to make the right choice. But over time, it becomes effortless. You no longer force yourself into greatness. You live in it, because your habits have shaped you into the person who naturally creates it. Consistency transforms effort into identity. And once identity shifts, destiny follows. So remember this, greatness is not a mystery. It's not reserved for the chosen few. It's the inevitable result of small, consistent habits practiced daily. Stay faithful to the process. Protect your routines. Respect your discipline. Because every habit you keep is shaping the story of your life. And with consistency, that story will be one of greatness. And tomorrow, on day 8, we'll unlock another powerful truth. How your mindset can either chain you to limitations or set you free to achieve the impossible. If you thought consistency was a secret, wait until you discover the mental key that makes everything else fall into place. Don't miss it. Day 8 could be the shift your future has been waiting for.